Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Adam's TV Podcast. I am your host, Adam Samuel. Today, we are talking about top 8 week of American Idol 17. It was Queen Week. That was the theme. And there's no more fitting person to join us for this podcast than a very, very incredible special guest, an Idol legend who I would watch on TV Line for many years when I was in high school and college. And it's so cool. I'm so honored to get to introduce Melinda Doolittle. How are you doing today, Melinda?
Hi, I am wonderful, and I'm excited to talk with people who love Idol just as much as I do. So I'm very happy to talk to you guys today.
Thank you so much.
I'm also joined by my co-host, Eric. Eric, how are you doing today?
You can tell by the stupid grin on my face. Probably I'm doing really, really well.
So we will be going over this past week of Idol. We will go through some of the performances. There's a lot to get through, but before we can kind of get into that, I do just want to spend some time and chat with Melinda because, like I said, this is kind of a big moment for us. The last time we saw you in the Idol kind of video format was talking the season 15 finale with Idology. So how have you been since then, Melinda?
Oh gosh, I've been wonderful. I have been traveling all over, really the world at this point. I've gotten a chance to go to Tunisia and all across the U.S. and just with my band, had the best time. I've been on the road for the most part, pretty nonstop, which I'm really grateful for, and sometimes really sleepy. But I love that I still get to do singing for a living. I love that this is my job. I was Jordan Sparks is in town right now. She's in Nashville. And so I ran over to her hotel last night to just hang out and get to see my baby girl and her new baby. And we were talking about the fact that we cannot believe that this is what we still get to do, that we still get to make a living doing what we love, and how awesome it is that Idol really opened some crazy doors for us. So I'm really excited about what I've been doing.
So cool. I just also want to say we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, but Eric and I have been fanboys of her back on Idology, so it's just so cool to have her joining us today. And this kind of all came together because you did a Reddit AMA, and Eric kind of asked you the question, and that kind of led you to us. And one of the things you mentioned in the head of the AMA is that you were a big Avengers fan. So did you get a chance to check out the new movie?
Are you kidding? I was there Thursday night. I mean, literally with my large popcorn, large drink, ready to go. And it was more epic than I could have ever imagined. I will give away no spoilers because that's not cool. I just, I love Marvel movies so much. It's like my favorite pastime. So even my last vacation, I spent a good portion of that vacation watching the Marvel movies in chronological order. So that's kind of where my head is, and it's what makes me happy. And so I was most definitely one of the first people in the theater that night.
Do you have a favorite Avenger?
Iron Man, hands down. Easy. Like, not even a question for me.
I like Thor.
I mean, I love Thor. I love him. I love them all. But Iron Man has been my guy from the beginning. Like, I've called dibs on him from like the first Iron Man movie. So just so you guys know, I have dibs on Iron Man.
Eric, do you have a favorite Avenger?
Don't ask me that. I don't know any of them. Sorry.
Derek, what do you mean?
I'm a terrible geek. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but love Marvel, right?
I'm a terrible nerd. I know. Adam, don't put me in this spot.
All right.
Hey, Eric.
Well,
hey,
I'll try it eventually.
Well, one of the other things that you worked in, Melinda, that happened kind of post the Idology days is one of the things I'm a huge fan of you for is the Postmodern Jukebox covers that you posted that I thought were absolutely amazing. And it's kind of fitting because one of the songs you covered was a Queen song. It was Don't Stop Me Now, which was, I was listening to it right before we went live, and I still think it's really, really good. What was it like to work with Postmodern Jukebox?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Postmodern Jukebox and have been since they came out. And so I had watched all of the videos, and people were tweeting Scott and I and saying, you guys should work together. And we were just like, we'd love to, but we've never met. And so we just basically made a decision that we were going to meet, that I was going to go out to LA and we were going to figure out what videos to do and have a great time with it. And literally Scott and I sat in a room for maybe an hour and talked through like, oh, let's try like Britney Spears, which I never thought I would ever sing. And just, I literally said, can you make Toxic sound like James Bond? And he did it in 10 minutes. And like, then he was like, I'd love to do a Queen song. And Don't Stop Me Now is just such a good song. They have so many great ones, but that one just makes me happy. And so it's just, he's brilliant. Scott Bradley is just a brilliant genius. And so it's so easy to walk in a room with him. He can just find the key that works for you. And he can literally play a song in whatever style you like. He'll try different styles. He'll do whatever. So it's a joy to work with him. And they're actually, Postmodern Jukebox is coming to the Ryman in Nashville this Friday. And I'm going to hop on stage and sing a song with them. And I'm quite excited about it.
That's awesome. So
would that be the song you would perform if this was if you were on a Queen Week? Would that be your song?
Oh gosh, I just really like We Are the Champions so much. I think that one might edge out Don't Stop Me Now.
Well, I'm gonna be nice and say that I'm gonna try to be nice when I say that you could definitely sing it better than Wade could sing it.
Oh,
Eric. Not nice, Eric.
I know. I'm trying, but I mean, you could sing it amazingly well, and yeah, that performance was rough.
It was well. Here's the deal. I know we're not probably talking Idol quite yet, but I have been in situations where like I lose my place in a song, and you're in front of an audience and you're like literally panicking on the inside and sweating all the sweat that has ever existed. So I had a little grace for him in that moment, just because I was like, that's so scary. And to be doing it in front of millions is even worse. That being said, there were some pitch issues. So I'm going to give you that.
That's what I meant.
Like minus the flub up there.
I wasn't talking about the flub up. I was talking about the pitch issues.
That's really fair.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of will lead us into kind of a bit of the Idol discussion. I want to ask, how have you been enjoying this season so far?
Well, okay, let me figure out how to say this. I love the show. I'm such a fan. And this season in particular has some of the best talent as a whole that I've ever seen. So I'm excited about it. At the same time, I sometimes feel like they're not getting a lot of constructive criticism.
Yes. And
so Idol was like a boot camp for us when we were going through it, because like literally you would hear some of the hardest things that you'd ever heard about your performance, but it was built to make you better. And I think we've lost a bit of that side of things. And so it can be just a tad bit disappointing to me to kind of not hear the constructive criticism that I would love for these kids to hear.
The crazy thing watching it from my end is that like every single performance now seems like it gets a standing ovation. And it's to the point where it's like it's meaningless now. Like it's more meaningful if they sit down for you than if they stand up for you.
Right. Like it almost hurts my feelings for the people they sit down for now. Because I'm like, oh no, everybody gets a standing ovation and you didn't. Like that should tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct. It's just an interesting vibe. And I love the encouragement. I really do. Like I loved having Paula on my season because you needed to hear something good. I just am so glad we didn't have 3 Paulas, you know?
Yeah.
You just need one. And I wish that was more so this season.
I mean, and the thing that annoys me most about these judges is, besides the fact that they don't give criticism, seems like, besides that most important thing that they're not judging, is that the editing rounds, they actually would talk over the contestants, which drives me crazy.
I don't really understand that. And each of the three, like I love for different reasons on their own, like as artists and all of that.
Yeah.
And Katy Perry is just a ball of joy to me. So I enjoy her most definitely. I just am like, I want this to be about the contestants. I think that's what's made Idol so successful in the past and contestants successful, like as opposed to like a show like The Voice, which is a great show and has great contestants. I remember what coach won on The Voice, but I remember what contestant won on Idol. And so I want it to be that. And I do miss that a bit.
And like the ratings this week bared that out. Like Adam's being on the show and the Queen Week ratings were the highest they've been since the premiere, which it's clear. I'm hoping that the producers and the people at ABC are figuring this out. Like, hey, bring up back alumni that people like, and people will watch the show.
Yeah, and what a great, like he was so great with the construction.
Phenomenal, always.
He's just, I think he's like the velvet voiced unicorn. So I love Adam so much, but like his just eye for things and his ear for what would make something work, it was just perfect. And I'm like, can you be a judge?
Well, the thing was, I actually back in 2016, of all things, I'm as a talk to you on Twitter, I'm obsessed with X Factor and stuff. He was on X Factor Australia, and he was an incredible mentor and judge. So
I didn't even know that. How did I miss that?
He
because you said Australia, didn't you?
It was Australia. That's the first thing, and the second thing it was the most rushed season of any show I've ever seen.
Okay,
until this season of The Voice, but
really rushed.
Barely better than that. Like The Voice this season has 3 live shows. This had 5 live shows. So,
wow, yeah. Wait, The Voice only has 3 live shows.
I want to ask.
Yeah, sorry. The Voice is over in 2 weeks.
What? Yeah, it's crazy how I can't. For me, I've struggled getting invested in The Voice because they're here and then they're gone, and we're just doing major cuts. And some of the greatest parts about Idol is that it would be a week-to-week basis, and contestants would be able to have an arc. They would be able to have weeks to experiment. Now, I feel every week the contestants have to fight to survive, and I think I understand because of the new format, but it does kind of upset me that we've kind of lost that bit of what the show used to be.
Yeah, and it's so hard to even to see eliminations the night of the show. Also, like, I mean, not just that there are 2, but just the fact that like literally they sing and then they're like, peace out, y'all, see you later. There's just something about that like elimination shows for us were so emotionally charged, that I was so glad we didn't really have to sing. Like all we had to do was a group song. That imagining a performance show coupled with an elimination on the same night and America having to vote in live time, which is pretty impossible. Like I can't imagine like whatever's going on inside of these contestants. I feel like it's a lot for them.
But one thing that's better for this season than the past 2, I mean the last 2 on Fox, is at least we're not random order performances.
Yes.
They listened to that at least.
That is helpful. And I do like the fact that after that first week, they're not like saying, you made it or you didn't make it, now go sing. Like that's a little rough too.
Yeah, I hated that. I get that Idol kind of needs to shorten because of the ABC format, and this is if we're gonna get something, I would rather it be this way than that way where it's kind of it's not ideal, but it's a step closer to the right direction.
In the right direction. You're correct.
All right.
But next year, since the live shows are killing in the ratings, maybe make more of those and less of the middle rounds so that we could have more opportunity for a growth arc. That'd be nice.
Yes, please.
Well, let's kind of get into the episode discussion. So this week the theme was Queen Week. We also had duets, which were from movies, and Adam Lambert as a judge. Melinda, you kind of did you enjoy Adam's advice that he gave?
He was perfection. There are a couple of the artists that I was like, I just want them to connect. They have such great voices, and I want them to like connect with it. Madison being one of them. I love her. her voice is like otherworldly, but I want her to like know why she's hitting the high note or know why she's going for it. Like sometimes she just gets to the end of the song and she's like, ah, like she just sings something high. And I'm like, well, why? Why did you do it? Did the song move you? Like, what is your connection to that? And so I loved him just being like, I know it comes easy to you, but like act like it's a little bit hard. Like give it something. So he was great with that. I don't know what it is that he said to what, oh my gosh, I just lost it. Jeremiah Lloyd. I don't know. This was my favorite performance of his, hands down. He's my favorite. I'm gonna say this.
Well, good news. We agree, and that was 100%. For me, that was my first genuine moment of the entire season for me.
Yes, he was so like.
It was stellar.
In the face, and it didn't have to be much. Like he didn't have to overdo it. It was just so connected and so beautiful. And he is like, I mean, by far my favorite.
I mean, the arrangement too. The arrangement, I don't know who came up with it. I'm assuming it was him because he has some clear songwriting and musical chops.
Yeah.
It was just the way he phrased it and the way the arrangement was done. So it gave the peaks and then it ended on a soft note and it was perfection.
It was. What?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like on that note, let's kind of let's talk about Jeremiah like as a whole, as his performance this week. So you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Did you not?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it actually. I thought it was probably one of my favorite performances of his. I also kind of enjoyed his duet also, which I guess we kind of should touch on at this point also. Which was "A Million Dreams" with Madison Vandenberg. A lot of Greatest Showman songs being performed, but this was
on all the shows. Pairing. Well, the good news is this one hasn't been overdone yet, at least.
Very true. It's very true. Yeah. The Greatest Showman, I'm gonna give it like it just has great songs.
It does.
They're like, so singable, and they show off your voice, and it's hard to find songs like that for shows like this. So I understand why people choose them. However, they also show off if you can't handle it. And so it's kind of a good like barometer actually. Like when I see that somebody's singing something from The Greatest Showman, I'm like, great. Now we'll know if you can cut it or not. So it works out really well. Like you will never hear me try to sing never alone. That never in life. I will not.
Well, you just did a little bit of it, which was otherworldly, but still
in the lowest key that could possibly be, though, because I'm not trying to.
I mean, and the thing about that song is that even Kelly Clarkson, who covered it, even that cover wasn't perfect.
Yeah, it wasn't Lauren. Yeah, I totally get it.
I mean, it was great, but the thing is, when I heard Kelly was going to cover that song on the soundtrack album, I thought, oh my god, this is going to be the best thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And it was a little bit of a letdown. I think it's production, not her. She can sing.
It was totally the production. It was not her because she still sang her tail off.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. I think that duet, by the way, between Jeremiah and Madison was, I think, quite possibly better than Madison's solo performance. And for me, it almost rivaled Jeremiah's solo performance. It was. No. It didn't get there, but it was really good for me. I thought
it was really good.
I was trying to think of anything that I would have done better about that, and I couldn't.
No,
so that's how I was thinking about it.
No, it was definitely an upgrade for Madison this week. Yeah, most definitely. Jeremiah he was already.
Yeah.
Melinda, you mentioned that Jeremiah is your favorite. If you had to rank a second favorite this week, who would come in second place for you?
Lacey.
Yes. We have debated a lot on Adam's TV podcast. Eric is not so high on Lacey. I am very high on Lacey.
What?
She's my personal favorite. So are you the tiebreaker and you're giving her a thumbs up?
I am totally giving her a thumbs up. Her tone and her approach to songs, I mean, they're both so individual and so original to me. Like I don't like country music. And so it takes a lot for me to be like, oh, there's a country artist that I really love, but there's just something so amazing about the way she takes on a song and just she makes it her own, and then her tone goes on top of it, and it's just gorgeous. Eric, what?
So my thing is that for some reason the cracks in her voice, which some people love, it's a love it or hate it kind of thing. I don't usually love it that much.
Okay.
This week, I will say I can't deny that this was Lacey's best performance of the competition so far for me.
Okay.
For me, it was. I think it wasn't my favorite performance of the night. It wasn't in my top 3 or top 5.
It was.
No, but I thought but the good news was, at least it didn't irritate me, and I which sometimes her voice verges on like grating to me, but this week it didn't.
Be nice to Lacey, Eric.
Be nice to her. She's so good.
She has consistently been my favorite performer, except for kind of maybe last week. I didn't love so much this week. But this was love of my life. This was probably one of my favorites of the season, honestly. I loved her cover of Blink-182's I Miss You. I still love that. I replay it over and over. It's gorgeous. But this reminded me of why I first started enjoying her music. I love her tone. I love the way she just kind of is so gentle with the song. And I would love to see a finale with Lacey. I hope that she gets there. Don't know if she will, but I've got my fingers crossed.
I feel like they're pushing so hard for Lane and possibly Madison or Alejandro. Like those are the people that I feel like they're pushing the hardest for.
I would add Jeremiah to that. I think they do like him a lot.
You think they're pushing for him though?
To win? Probably not.
Okay.
To be in the finale, yes.
Okay.
I think so. I think the thing is, I think they're pushing Lane and Alejandro the most.
Yes.
And Alejandro needs the pushing lately, it seems, but
yeah.
Because
Melinda,
this was a rough
do you have
one.
a third? Oh, sorry. Melinda, do you have a third favorite of the night? Anyone else who kind of really stood out to you?
Gosh, I'm trying to think through everybody that went. Jeremiah just blew me away.
Yeah.
And then Lacey definitely. I think vocally, for me, like Alejandro and Wade both had some pitch issues. So where I love Alejandro's tone, I couldn't get on board as much this week.
Let's talk about Alejandro. So he performed Under Pressure, and he did a bit of a flip to it. This is kind of a song that it really like you get into it. It's got like that really catchy beat, like you kind of bob your head to it. And he kind of did this really different flip, but I don't know. For me, it kind of took the love that I have from the song. It kind of took it away, and I kind of almost didn't recognize it. Did you feel the same way, Eric?
I feel like I hate to say it sucks the energy out for me, the arrangement. I like that he did something different with it, and I respect him as a musician. I just don't think his vocals are good enough, honestly. I think he's an amazing guitar player, as we've seen, an amazing piano player, an amazing musician. I just wish he could play for other people who could sing for him.
I've gone back and forth on him because his tone is so gorgeous. But I think the thing that does excite me most about him is when he plays a solo. So in that case, that's not this show. So
yeah, I mean, you can go on America's Got Talent and be a guitarist. You could win, possibly.
But I think he would be a great artist overall. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't mean that I don't want to hear a record from him. It's going to be like my mellow record though, like, cause he does make everything really mellow, but that's soothing and great. It's just not always for TV. That's literally the only thing that I think in this setting is kind of not working for him.
I think the biggest problem for Alejandro is he's a very solid vocalist, but at this point he's just outclassed. I think everyone else is kind of on a higher level. And if I was in his place, and I'm trying to think, I would try to compensate for it with doing arrangements, flip something, do something different, try to stand out in another way. You know that these people are better vocally, so I'm going to show my creative side. And I just want to say, like, I know Eric isn't that high on him, but I appreciate that he's a contestant who's willing to take risks. He reminds me a little bit of Jax from a few seasons ago, where maybe not the best vocally, but is willing to try new things and is willing to show a different side. And, maybe it doesn't always work, but I can appreciate that part of him.
Yes, he to me is kind of on the same page as Lacey as far as like when they open their mouth, it's going to be an original version of a great song. So I am a fan of that most definitely. But I can't think of who my third person would be.
Wouldn't it have been Madison?
Normally, yes. This week,
I mean, the smiling was a problem.
I just felt like there wasn't a connection at all. So, and that is like one of the most important things to me. So vocally, the girl is a queen. Like, hands down, the girl can sing. So let me say that first and foremost, she can sing. I just know that there's more underneath there. And at this point, she's shown that she can sing. So I'm looking for something else. I think that's what it is. And it's kind of sad for her because she's so good that a person like me should just be like, you know what? Great job. She did do a great job. I just would love for her to connect.
The problem was, I felt like the first minute of the song before it hit the first chorus, it looked like she did connect, and then she forgot how she connected or something like that.
She does well when she's singing a bit softer, like, and in the lower range of her voice, as far as like kind of thinking about what the song may be about. When she gets to her money notes, she thinks money.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of want to set the stage that she performed "The Show Must Go On," and Eric has consistently been a big champion of her throughout these podcasts. And in her intro package, Adam Lambert kind of is really, the advice he gives is go for the theatrics, like make it the big moment, like go for it. And I think that is 100% the best advice to give her. I think she needs to kind of just go, maybe just make it look a little harder. And I almost felt like she didn't take the advice from me. Like I said on Twitter that that was a good nugget, and she kind of was smiling through it. And for me, that kind of took the performance down. Like I just remember when Skylar Lane did this on season 11, and I was blown away.
Oh yeah.
I still believe that is one of the best seasons in terms of some of the greatest vocalists. And I wanted that from her. I wanted her to go there. And for me, Madison didn't. And that's kind of the problem that I had with it.
I mean, for me, vocally, it was amazing, as always, Madison. I will say, the smiling, I did notice it, and it did bug me during it. So, and this was for week for me where Jeremiah overtook Madison as my favorite. This was the week where it happened.
I do think for Madison, I feel like if she was like taking Adam's advice, if somewhere inside she was actually taking his advice, then she may have possibly misinterpreted what that song is really about. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that, because when he was smiling so much, I was like, I wonder, does she think like this is happy? Or is she like, instead of thinking like somebody's pushing through all of the junk for this show to still go on? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like maybe it may have been a disconnect on the way she interpreted, as opposed to maybe her completely negating.
Yeah, I don't think she disregarded the advice. I think that the first minute of the song proved that she was trying.
Yeah.
I think she just forgot halfway through, honestly.
For me, I wanted some more moments. Like like I said, I'm consistently brought back to Skylar Lane, and I think like Skylar had those huge the the
that
money
last note. I remember it. I remember that last note vividly.
I don't remember like that was the note. Like when Skylar did that, I was like that, like hands down, like I bow down to you. And this could have been that for Madison. And I don't know. Maybe is it like she's a little nervous? Is it what do you think it is, Melinda?
She's young. She's a baby. Like, I mean, she hasn't lived that long on this earth to know like the pain that she would need to sing through that song to make it like completely take us to another level. She's very, very young. So I'm gonna say it's probably youth more than anything, because she has the chops easily.
Do you think she can make the finale? Do you think she's got a shot?
Yeah. If she were to like she just needs a moment. She needs like a Jordan I who have nothing moment, or like she just needs like literally just
everything needs to go right.
Catapult her, yeah.
And she's capable of it. Like I totally
100%.
believe that it is in her, and she just needs to figure it out and like sit down and just think of something that will pull that out of her. This could have pulled it out of her, but I think that's what she needs to do moving forward.
Yeah, she'll just I think it's just more about choosing the right song at this point for her. Like whatever she feels that she can really connect to, because we know she can sing anything. So then she's going to need to choose the song that she connects to as opposed to the song she can sing.
I think she needs to do something current in order to win. Something like really current. I think that's what needs to happen for her. I think she needs to prove something because she has an amazing voice, but to win a recording contract of Hollywood Records, she needs to prove that she could be on the radio right now. Is my guess.
Can she do "Sorry Not Sorry"? The Demi Lovato. Can she do that?
That would be
that could really, really work.
I just need somebody to sing that song for me sometime soon. So,
well, let's talk about one person who I think is pretty much guaranteed a spot at the finale, and I do just kind of want to touch on him. It's Lane Hardy, and this week he was performing "Fat Bottom Girls," which on paper sounded exactly kind of the kind of songs that I think he would do. Like it's kind of it's the rock song, it's kind of the high energy. This has kind of been his bread and butter for his entire run. What are your thoughts on Lane, Melinda?
I love his voice. I really do. I feel like he has possibly sung the same song every week for me. So, and he's great at that song. It's just been the same one. So I'm looking for something different, and I'm not even sure what that is anymore. I just feel like I've gotten the same performance every week.
You know, I mentioned this before with Eric, but he reminds me so much of Scotty from his season, where he kind of is sticking to his lane. He knows what works, and this is a performance that works for his fan base. People will vote for him. So I can't fault him because I think he's playing a smart game, honestly. Like what he's doing, it's the right thing to do, but
you're right.
But I don't like it at the same time because I want to see like there's got to be something different. Like, has he done a ballad this entire season? Like, there's got to be a different side to him. He hasn't laid down the guitar even once.
I don't remember him doing a ballad.
What he needs to do, honestly, his voice kind of reminds me a little bit of Philip Phillips.
Yeah.
Slightly. So, minus the leg rub, do something like we got tonight. Do something like that. Do like a slow song, a ballad, very similar to that.
I think that his fan base would go with it. I really do, because he really is so talented. I'd just love to hear something a little bit different. And he's such a cutie. Goodness. Sorry, I'm not supposed to.
I do have to give him points. There's one point where I gave him an A+ for this performance, was that he actually managed to get the sway bots to kind of sway like the right way, like they weren't all out of whack like they usually are. And just for that, I would give him an A+ because that consistently gets. It was actually Michael Slezak who first pointed it out to me, like when I was, and that kind of impacted my way of watching the show. And now I always notice it, and it always bothered me. But Wayne got them to do it right.
Yes, and he had some crazy energy this week. Like, I mean, he ran around. He doesn't really run. Like that was. He's a great performer. I just was like I'm like, put that guitar down and just
surprise us.
But I mean, you're correct in saying like if what he's doing is working, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess.
Well, the other thing is we don't know if it's working because we don't know about bottom 3 anymore. So
that's actually a really great point.
I don't know.
I'm assuming he's sailing through, but I don't know.
I think he's sailing through.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we're now playing a game. We're watching a game that's playing for second, honestly, which kind of does bug me because I do think he does get a little bit of a free pass on a lot of things. Like this would not fly if it was like Madison or Lacey, and it's just that's how it is.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, let's take a bit of a moment to kind of talk about the contestants we actually lost this week. So we lost Alyssa Ragu and Walker Burrows. Melinda, do you think America got it right this week?
Not completely. This is probably not everybody's favorite, but I really like Walker. I just love quirky contestants, and he's got a smooth voice, and it's pretty pitch perfect, and I just enjoy him. I enjoy the quirkiness of him, and he's a Belmonter, which is my college, so maybe it's partly that, but I do love Walker, and I would have loved to see him stay around another week. I probably would have swapped him maybe with Wade.
Yeah.
I probably would have swapped him with Wade. And then Alyssa, I have loved her from like the first time we ever saw her audition back in whatever season that was.
Season 16.
Thank you. I've loved her voice, and I am loving this season that she found like a new fire in her, and I think it's only going to go further. I just think she's still figuring out who she is. So I understood why they sent her home, but I would have swapped Walker for Wade.
I will say the one thing I've noticed
Well, let's talk just Crazy Little Thing Called Love, which was a performance I was kind of expecting Lane to actually do, and I'm kind of glad he didn't. But for me, this song, it's kind of one note. Like it kind of doesn't really go anywhere. It's a great song if you're like listening like on the go, but to compete, it doesn't have something to really sink into.
Right.
And I think if Walker, I get what Walker's mindset was going into this week. He kind of wanted to show that he can move around the stage, that he's not just going to stay behind the mic. But for me, this is a performance that you do when you're performing 2 songs in a night, and this is your first performance because the big one is kind of coming second.
Yeah.
And I think it was maybe just a lack of strategy maybe that kind of brought him down this week, because I thought it was a good performance. It was what you would expect it to be, but it's because maybe he was more in danger than he maybe thought he was, that maybe now this is the problem we say, where you have to compete to survive and not to kind of try new things.
It's true. His song choice did not do him any favors this week. Just for the nature of it, didn't show off what his voice can really do. So you are correct on that, definitely.
What do you think, Eric?
For me, Walker has been the one that's been consistently a B this season. He's never been an A. He's never been a C. He's always been. Has he had an A for you?
I'm gonna have to think about it, Eric.
But he's never been bad. He's just never blown me away personally. And honestly, the problem was on Idol, you need to have a little bit more variety in like your grading, as far as I'm concerned. You can't always be a B and win American Idol necessarily. Yeah. There are exceptions, but
that's my thing. At the end of the day, was I did not think Walker or Alyssa were going to win this season.
Yes,
and so in that mindset, and with how quickly this season is going, I was okay with it. But I just really like their voices.
Mm-hmm.
I also really enjoyed Alyssa, and I kind of want to talk about her because she's performing Somebody to Love. And by the way, funny story, I was not watching this live. I was watching it afterwards on abc.com. And right before she performed, I got a Ragu sauce commercial. And I just thought it was really funny. I was like, I see what you did there. See what you did. Yeah. But for me, on paper, this is a perfect song for Alyssa. Like, of all the songs, I would think this makes sense. It has the big notes. It allows her to go there. She could take the moments. But for me, I think I was a little bit spoiled by the Glee version that was kind of so epic. It kind of had these huge notes. And I was kind of holding her to that standard of she's going to do that big Mercedes Jones note. And the fact that she didn't, and it kind of, it was a light version, and she needed a moment. I think she was in huge trouble going into this week, and she needed to pull something crazy out of her to kind of stick around. And she, on paper, should have worked, but she just didn't go there. It needed those bigger moments. Do you agree, Melinda?
Well, yes, I do agree. What I thought when I heard her singing the song is that her voice reminds me a lot of mine in that it has, like, we have really solid, like, mid-range voices, right? So the alto, like that kind of stuff is awesome. And then when we get really high, we lose the punch. And so I think maybe if she had lowered the song a bit, we wouldn't have known it because it would have sounded high on her and she would have been able to hit more money notes. I just think the key of it, like the choice of that key wasn't great to give her the range that she needed to like punch this song out. Like she just didn't, it was probably the key, but it is a rangy song. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was just the song.
Maybe it was. I honestly don't think it was a good song choice because the problem with it is that when I hear that song, I've heard people absolutely slay that song. And Alyssa only sang it. She didn't slay it. She sang it.
It was a light version. It wasn't, it could have been like I said, I just think we've been spoiled from hearing this song sung so
exactly.
well.
That's kind of the problem with Queen Week. The problem with Queen Week is that Adam Lambert has sung all these songs before.
Right.
And so is Freddie Mercury. So
that's what, like, anytime I'm giving people advice on what kind of songs to pick, I'm like, pick a singer who's not known for like blowing it out of the water vocally, yes, and then take it and make it your own and blow it out of the water. Like, but definitely like don't sing Mariah or Whitney or Adam or Freddie. Like, yeah. Maybe so we do have that comparison and it makes it difficult. And that's where like a Jeremiah would shine though.
Yeah. Like I said, this just was missing an oomph. It was missing that extra sauce, honestly. Yes. I'm using the puns that Katy Perry uses. Who did we not talk about yet? Did we? We
didn't talk about Wade, but
we didn't talk about Wade. So let's talk about Wade really quickly. So he performs "We Are the Champions," which is the last time I think we heard this on American Idol was I think Lazaro Arbos, and that kind of brought me back. It brought me back to that moment when I was watching that because this was kind of a mess. What did you guys think, Melinda? What did you think?
I didn't think it was I'm not going to say a mess. I'm going to say his tone is so specific that it's hard to find songs that really wrap themselves around his tone. And so Queen would have been a hard one because we're ready for that really clear, pointed tone, and that is literally not his voice. So like this week set out to sabotage him from the beginning. Yes. So I just think he did what he could, like with the tone that he has on a song like that. And then you could just tell he was just in his head about it so much that it affected his pitch. It affected his lyrics. Like it affected his performance this time. And I hate that for him because this week really was not made for him.
The thing is, for me, his voice, it's kind of so gravelly that at times it almost makes me like go, ooh, like doesn't that hurt? Like when you're doing that, like I'm like a little bit like, like, but he says it's because he was like a heavy metal singer. So I kind of get it. But when I listen to him, it just, it takes me out of it because I'm like, you're hurting yourself.
No, it definitely makes my throat hurt. But if it's natural to somebody, then it's not hurting them. So I'm assuming that it has to be natural. Right?
I would hope. Otherwise, everyone's watching a person in horrifying pain on stage every week.
Right.
And that's not fun for anybody.
No.
I thought that it was a good performance. Parts of it were pretty rough. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I agree. I'm shocked he's still here. I think that I would have switched him with Walker for once to go.
Yeah, I think it came down to it. I think he probably was the one in the bottom three, and I think he's going to be in big trouble next week, honestly.
Well, did you see his sweet face though when he made it through. Like
he wasn't expecting it.
He was completely shocked, and that like I could tell like this performance was a struggle for him. So he was like, oh my gosh, how did I get through? And so I think he'll come with something pretty strong next week. I hope.
We'll see what the theme is next week. We'll see what they'll let him be strong. That's a question.
I hope so.
We didn't really talk too much about the duets, but there were. Do you have any notes that you kind of want to talk about for any of the duets that really kind of stick out to you?
I don't. Okay, if I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of like duets and group things because I don't feel like that really shows them as an artist for the most part. Like I don't know. I don't know why the judges judge the duets. Like I literally have no clue. Like I think it's nice to have some filler in there, but I would have loved to hear like, I don't know, a Queen song and then one other song from people as opposed to having filler. And I love little boys playing piano and singing Bohemian Rhapsody, but like I'm just like we could have had 2 songs per person or something along those lines.
What I remember, I was tweeting you about X Factor last season quite a bit, and the one thing that they did right last season in the UK was was it semifinal week, Adam? Remember where they did 2 songs each, but because they were limited on time, they did 1 full song, and then they each did like a minute of an ABBA song.
Yeah.
And it was a medley, and it was a very smart way of giving everyone 2 performances when you don't have a ton of time.
Yes.
And I'm like, I will say it. I know you hated the American X Factor because who didn't? It was terrible. But
I didn't hate it.
I did.
I loved Cece Fry. I loved her.
But the British one was just so much better this year than there's so many good people on that show this year, and then it's not coming back this year. But oh well.
It's not.
I mean, it kind of is. We're doing a celebrity version, which sounds like death.
I don't understand.
We're going to have celebrities compete on the show.
No.
Yeah, no is right. Bad idea.
No.
Yeah.
The world right now.
I just want to say for like a week like this, like I've always had this theme in my head of an idea for a theme like this week where there's kind of some extra space. We're kind of trying to fill it up. But for me, I've always had this idea that we should have like a melody week where it's kind of a contestant picks like 3 songs and does them kind of 1, 2, 3 and kind of has to build this whole kind of progression where it's kind of almost like in a Glee when they would perform
like
where it's kind of, they do like 3 songs. Yeah, not a mashup where it's kind
like
of
a medley.
one song, then a medley where they do one song, then another, and it kind of builds through. Do you like that idea, or is that just me?
Like each contestant does a medley on their own, or the medley involves multiple contestants?
No, each contestant does their own maybe 2 or 3 song medley. Maybe it's a minute or 2 minutes from each, and it's kind of a 6-minute package.
That's a lot.
Not too much.
I think
if I'm thinking through like their schedule for the week, that's a lot to come up with. That's what I will say. I think medleys are great ideas. It's just that's a lot of work, and it's a whole lot of work
maybe for
the band
finale
too.
But like, I think that a 2-song medley could work, but a 3-song medley is pushing it.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm just like, it is a lot, but they can do it.
Or better idea, actually, Adam. How about this? How about they do a full song when they have more time? Just give them don't shorten the songs.
Totally true.
Oh,
but then someone's going to do Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a long time. That's a long time. Because
I would be a fan of
different length. So
maybe make it 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes or something like that.
That would be great. Or make the show an hour and a half instead of 2.
Well, that also works. Don't fill it up needlessly. Or bring back alumni. Do that. That's always a good idea.
Maddie Poppy's album.
I hope we get a full performance from Maddie this season of her
coming back as her Twitter account. She's not coming back for the finale or anything. And they didn't mention her album release, which is like the week before.
Well, they'll mention on the finale, I would hope. I mean, it'd be.
I sure hope so.
I mean, Trent didn't get to come back last season, but I mean, he was kind of the rare exception. But
that made sense because it's like Fox versus ABC.
Yeah, but they had him on the show, but he didn't get to sing, which was weird.
It just kind of makes a little sense because like there's a little bit of separation there.
But there is, but no, there isn't anymore because
that's true.
The merger.
That's
no
true.
More separation, which thank God these ratings are doing well for the live shows.
I forgot about that. Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of our coverage kind of the episode. I do just kind of have one other question for Melinda. I actually read your book a few years ago. I checked it out and I read it. And as a writer myself, I just want to say like it's really cool. Like tell me a little bit about your writing process if that's all right.
Oh, thank you, first of all, for reading. I was approached by a publishing company to write the book, and I was like, I don't know that I have anything to say. And so they set me up with a ghostwriter, and he interviewed me for like 28 hours total. And then basically he just came to me with a book, and I read it and I was like, this does not sound like me at all. Like this is not in my voice. This is not like, I like the way you broke it down into chapters because we finally settled on like things that, just I learned through life and things that my mother taught me and everything. So we had come up with the chapter titles, but it didn't sound like me. And so I literally spent an entire month every day, all day in my onesie at my computer, writing it so that it was in my voice and so that it sounded like me. And it really it was quite the experience. I don't know how writers do it. I don't know that I'll ever do it again because it took a lot out of me, but it definitely is me now. And I feel like it's in my voice, and I'm really proud of it and really glad that they talked me into doing it.
I enjoyed reading it. It's called Beyond Me, Finding Your Way to Life's Next Level. It's available on Amazon. Am I correct?
It is. It sure is. Thank you.
So if you want to go check it out, I recommend it. I enjoyed it. It was a really cool book. I think I read it when I was in college, and I still have it downstairs somewhere, and it's still stuck with me, and I enjoy it. Melinda, do you have any final thoughts on this episode, on the season? Any final things you want to touch on?
Well, what I do want to say most definitely is that you guys are great. You guys are awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
This has been so much fun for me. It reminds me of the days of Sleazak, and it makes me really happy because you guys are true fans of the show and you know what's going on. So thank you for that. And I would just say I really am just blown away by the talent this season. I really, really am. And I hope that they each get an opportunity to shine in a way that just really showcases what they're great at. And I think in that we get a great season, but also a worthy winner, at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that they all get an opportunity and take the opportunity, because sometimes you get the opportunity and don't take it. So I hope they get it and they take it.
Mm-hmm. I'm optimistic I'm hoping that we can have a successful winner on the show this year.
Yes.
It seems like we can. I don't know who it would be. I mean, the one thing Disney's good at is marketing people. So I'm fingers crossed.
Exactly.
Disney is amazing at marketing. If they wanted to promote something, they can promote the hell out of it.
They definitely could.
Well, I want to say to Melinda, I'm going to extend on behalf of the Adams TV podcast an open invitation. If you ever are watching an episode and you're like, I got to talk about this, even if it's 20 minutes before we go live, we would love to have you. We enjoy your contributions. We love that you're such a big fan of the show and you're still active in the community. And I just want to say on behalf of us, like, thank you so much. And this was a pleasure, and it was an absolute joy to speak with you this time.
Thank you, Adam and Eric. You guys are awesome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I just want to say my name is Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at AdamSoapbox. I run my two websites, adamsoapbox.com and adamstvblog.com. Eric, where can we find you?
Eric_Ascher on Twitter, ericascher.com, ericascher01 on YouTube. I'm seeing David cook this weekend. I will have some videos up on my YouTube page, so that should be fun.
And Melinda, where can we find you?
At M Doolittle on Twitter and Instagram, official Melinda Doolittle on Facebook, and melindadoolittle.com.
And you should follow her because she is so awesome. And like I said, it was such a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks.
I guess we're gonna call it there. This was a pleasure. Like I said, Melinda, if you ever are watching an episode and you feel like you have to talk about it, let us know. We would love to have you on again.
I will do that. Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys. This was fun. Until next time, peace.
Bye.